Hey guys, Krozjin here, and welcome back to City Skylines and a brand new tutorial. Today, I want to talk about the map editor. So to access it, go to the tools and the map editor, and you can select any kind of map you want to make. Let's go with a tropical. I like the trees on a tropical map, although it doesn't really matter in the end. Because today we're going to be making a map based on real-world scan data. Not scan data, height map data. So you can actually take any map, any city in the real world and recreate it inside of cities. So as you see, as I come in here, I get a little chirper guy with a little nice hat, and he tells me all the requirements I need to do to make this a proper map. So I need to have water, I need to have at least one incoming and outgoing highway connection, and these are all recommended. You can actually make the entire map with no ore, fertile land, forestry, or anything of these, and it'll still be a perfectly fine map. So before I show how to recreate an actual city from the real world, I'm going to go over the tools we have. So in the first tab we have terrain. Now in terrain you have the ability to change the terrain, obviously. So you can move it up or down, like so. Left click to go up and right click to go down. So this is pretty sharp. That's because I have this like soft select tool. If I can do a little harder edge, it'll be much more severe. I can change the brush size, so you get nice little mountains if I want. So a lot of control here. I can also do a little bit of a more random stuff. Some more random. A little bit of a little cloud, a little softer effect, which is pretty cool to work with. And just splotches here and there. Now this is of course great and all for making mountains, but you're probably not going to use the shift tool all that much for like little tiny details, although you can. Because you can push this strength from 1 to like 0.04. Let's get maybe the soft brush, and you can get just really slight changes. So you can really have control over how you want the terrain to be. You can start sculpting it and make it as wobbly, as cavernous, however you want to make it. And it'll be just fine. The next tool we have is the level tool. So here you can set a terrain level. I believe the default water level is 40, but you can change that at any time, so it really doesn't matter. But just keep in mind, 0 is the rock bottom, you cannot go any higher, and the max is 1024. So if you want to make really tall mountains, make sure you set your ground plane to something low. If you want a big like drops into the ground, set your terrain to be pretty high. Now what this does is, if I select a soft brush and maybe get a bigger brush, like so, it levels the terrain to that height. So because I have the softer brush selected, I have a nice little drop off. If I take the strong brush, as you see, it builds up to that point. And of course I can make it low, to go below what I currently have, and it will drop that area. If I set the brush strength to like 1, it's just going to be immediately go to that height. Bam. So it can be useful to create like plateaus or whatever you want, really. Oh, and another thing, I believe you can right click. If I right click there, yeah, it says the terrain height to that height. So if you want to, for example, make another ledge here and you want to say right there, I can do that, and then bam, there you go. It's at that height exactly. The next tool we have is the one you'll probably be using the most, which is the soften tool. Soften tool is, as it sounds, just softens the terrain. Gets rid of all those jaggedy edges, makes it nice and smooth. Like something like here, like this is way too sharp, and 1 is way too strong, so we'll drop it down, and just soften it up. Make it a little more natural, maybe a little more, drop the size down. Yeah. Now, I'm not going to be creating anything fancy right now, because we are going to just replace this entire terrain. So this is just as a demonstration purpose. You can soften this more, really drop it down. A lot of control. And the last tool is really cool, and I actually don't know many terrain generators that actually provide this. It's a slope tool. So what you can do is, for example, right-click up here, and you want to make a slope, a nice smooth slope that goes to that spot. So now, I can go ahead and just say, I want to start the slope here. And however I draw it, I'm just holding left click, it will make a slope that will just connect. Like that. And if you see, this probably wasn't the best idea with the soft brush. Let's go with a harder brush. I'll just go up to here, maybe from out here. There we go, that's a little better to demonstrate with. So it goes right up to that height in a nice path. So you can get really cool designs with that. I can connect from here. There you go. And then smooth it out. And get a really cool effect of this, like, cliff road or whatever you want it to be, depending on the size, of course. This is pretty huge, because this is a 2 by 2 kilometer square. And of course you have area around it that is basically places you can't build, and your default 5 by 5. Now that is the terrain generation. You have different brushes, the strength of brush size, and sometimes you get different options up top, like terrain height and the such. So cool. The next we have import and export height map. We will skip those for now. We'll just go on to the next, just so I can show them off right now. So the water. So the first tool is place water source. So this one, you can change the water capacity and basically the strength of the water flow, I believe. And you could say, I want a water source here. And if I hold down left click, I can raise it high and lower it. And what this does is create a source of water, you can see right there, and it's generating water. And this will basically continue to generate water until it reaches this height. So if I drop it really low, it will stop to generate height at that height. And so as it goes out, if it ever reaches that height, it stops the water generation. And that is why you saw right there, the water seemed to have stopped. And I believe right-click, yeah, right-click just gets rid of it. Very easy. And all of this is simulated, so it's very, very cool. You can make, if I put it right here, maybe like that, you get a nice waterfall going, and have it simulate down. So you have really cool effects. So have fun with that. It's awesome. The next one is the move sea level. So I can set the height of the actual sea level. So I can make it go up to the peaks. I can drop it down to the bottom, like so. It takes a moment to update, or you could just update it manually by clicking reset water to sea level. So just left click and drag, and you change it, as well as changing it up here. So if you know you want exactly at 200 is where you want the sea level, just go ahead and type 200, and it will just change the sea level to be there. So that's awesome. Right now, this is a weird little island place. Let's drop it down a little bit further, and just click reset to water level. Cool. So that's pretty much the simple water tools. They're very powerful and really awesome. The next ones are the ground resources. So you have options like ore, oil, and fertile land. So you can go ahead and use any of the brushes you had before to just put down as much oil, fertile land as you want. So if I go here, get some more oil there, fertile land maybe right here. You really want to get a little bit in every area for an effective map, at least one resources in each square, because otherwise it's just not going to be easy for the person playing it, which may be what you want. Oh, that's pretty cool. I got the waterfall going on the other side. Oh, look at this thing. The map is clearly not designed for this kind of waterfall, but it is pretty cool. seeing it simulated. So I believe if I go to the water, select that, and right click, yeah, there we go, let's just get rid of it. Not to slow down the computer, and once we import the height map, it will look really weird. So next we have the trees, and this is where we decide on the tropical, and so we have different types of trees than you would normally have from the other ones. And you can just left click and drag to place down your trees. Which is pretty cool. And you can put down different kinds of trees however you want. And this is going to be your forestry area. So if I go like that, that has a lot of forestry that you can go ahead and grab from. Sort of like these guys. But because there's so many different trees, they have their own section. Next area is roads. You of course need a highway going in and out. Now I'm not going to put that in because the height will be changed. So I'll hold off on that for now. But you have roads, intersections, and then you can put paths for trains, ships, and planes. Now these are options to have at least one plane, at least one ship. It's nice to have it, but of course you can have absolutely no connections to any of these, and the city will still be just fine. The last thing we have here is environment. And this is pretty cool. You can have a little sandy area, so if you have a beach, you can just make it sandy there. Do you have any sand? You can put a little bit of sand right here. Maybe not, probably not up there. But oh, it doesn't seem like it'll let you do on the cliff. It's too strong. But if you did have a nice gradient like there, you could put some sand right there. Just to really help out with your map look. So that's pretty cool. The next one you have wildlife spawn point. And I believe this depends on the type of map you select. It'll depend on the type of animals that will spawn. So we put one down there. You can see a little guy spawning. These are just wildlife. Is that a buffalo? Yeah. So if I put down some more, what do we have spawning? Another one there. We have some different animals there. So you can get some wildlife going right around your forestry areas and just really bring some more life into the map. And the last one is smoke markers. Now these, when placed, just produce smoke. If you want to simulate like a burning forest in the background, like away from your city, like out here, that's a great way to do it. So if I go to the forestry area, maybe take a bigger brush and just brush it over, you'll see a lot of these appear, and then from a distance you can see like it looks like it's on fire. So you might want to try fooling people if it's within the grid, think there's always fire there, and to pretend like the fire stations aren't working, or in the background the world is on fire, you're still fine to build the city and protect your citizens. I don't know. You can have fun with it. And the last thing is the map settings. You can choose your starting tile, which is sometimes very important because when you build a custom map, maybe if you want to start over here, or I like this area with the way it has set up. Sometimes the middle area will just not have any land. So this is why this is a great option. You can relocate wherever you start from. And of course the snapshot tool. So awesome. So this is pretty much the basics of the terrain generation. You have your terrain to really set up any way you want to create it. Get really nice capabilities of everything you can do. You can go really small brushes and just get the finest of details, or the really big brush and maybe just set the entire terrain height to like 715 and strength to 1. There we go. And I could quickly change the entire height of the terrain to that if I want to start building down, for example. So yeah, that is the basics of the map editor. Now let's go ahead and go into height maps and the real world. For that, we'll go to a website called terrain.party. That's it. You will get to this this website where you have the world map at your disposal. It might take a little while to load depending on your internet speed, of course, but don't worry, it'll load. I had it the first time where it loaded super fast. I don't know if the traffic was a little bit more intense on the website the second time I went there, but it took a little while longer, so just as a heads up. So once you're here, you will be probably zoomed into a square. Square, mine is right there, which is where I had it last time. So this is the, let's move it somewhere you can see better. There you go. So this is the same setup as the city skylines. So you have your 5x5, and then you have 2 on the outside, which is an 18-kilometer size. So this is actually scaled perfectly to the real world, and this is the real world map. So you can actually grab any place in the world that you want and create a map from it. And of course you could say, I want it to be actually slightly higher because, well, maybe the rivers are just not as cool or whatnot. And you can go ahead and do that. I'll go ahead and do 18 just to get a true real world scale. Now, as you're looking around, you might lose your position. You might lose your square, forget where it is, zoom all the way out, you just can't find it, don't remember where it was. Well, don't worry. There's a little trick to get back to it, or get it to appear where you are, although it's not as simple as it seems. You basically have to click this button right here, which is usually export, and can I drag this? Yeah, there we go. So it says the map you're looking for is really far from the selected area. Would you like to select the center of the map? Okay, and then you just say I don't want to export it, and there you go. You have your little guy back, and you can go ahead and see how things go here. Another thing you can do is just search for a city. So for example, I could search Seattle, Washington, and it'll go right to it and move my marker right to that city, which is really awesome. Oh, so let's make our city from Seattle. Actually, there's a lot of open water areas, so you get a lot of cargo ships. Maybe good paths for planes. I think I'll just go with this. Or maybe we want the island. I think the island would be pretty cool to have in the 5x5. So let's do maybe something like that. And that way you can have the cargo ship go around this way. That would work. So once you have your location all good to go, you can go ahead and export it. And you call it whatever you want, and I believe it will be saved into your default directory. So Seattle, Washington is good enough. Go ahead and save it. It's waiting for terrain.party. And it should save you as a zip or a RAR. I don't recall. Yep. There it is. I tried Seattle, Washington before. So. Okay, now back in cities, you want to go ahead and import your height maps. I've gone ahead and created a new area, so it'll be nice and clean and easier to work with. So once you click import, you grab this folder icon, and it'll open the height maps directory. So drag it over here. And all you really have to do is open your zip and drag all of it into your directory. It might not load immediately, just hit F5 to refresh it, and there they are. And you can close these guys out. So there's your height maps. Really the one you're interested in is the merged height map. So go ahead and select it and click import. And just like that, look at that. An actual height map representation of Seattle. Now, the ocean level doesn't seem to be proper, so let's go ahead and set it. Oh, I think it was actually proper. I don't know if by accident or not, but let's go ahead and reset. And look at that. That's actually pretty cool. So now I have the entire water level. I have this nice little cool river. And that seems to be imported just fine. So the starting area is not going to work. I can tell you immediately because there's no water. So I'm going to just really quick, I'm going to just set the starting area to something like here. And it's another reason why you might want to do 25 square unlock right away. Because if there was another water here and you want to get here, you'd have to buy useless tiles. So depending on what map you choose will depend on whether or not you want to go ahead with it. So awesome. And the tile that is main, you can see as a darker dotted line, dashed line than the others. So that's very convenient. So now that we have this imported, we can go ahead and start getting all the requirements going. So we need at least one highway connection in and out. So let's go ahead and create a highway connection in. Now here, there's some weirdness with the water level, so you might want to go ahead and clean up the terrain. Go ahead and smooth it out. Or you might just want to set the terrain height to that, and that might smooth it out as well. Now this is simulated water, so it might take a little while, but I'm not going to focus on this too much right now. You guys can go ahead and make it nice and neat. Oh, another thing I almost forgot is when you import something, select the smooth brush, or the soften tool, and soften all the little edges on the outside. Control Z does work to undo, so you can go ahead and select a slightly smaller brush, soften edge, something like that. A little too strong still. Really drop it down, and just soften it because these are really jagged, as you can see, and you want to go in and just smooth out the tips. So it'll be nice and neat and look a little bit better. And just go all around your map. This is just purely to, well, make it look better, and once you're building, if you zoom in like here, it doesn't look pretty. So just smooth it out like so, and it should be all good. Just everywhere. I'm not going to do all that right now because I'm not trying to make it pretty. This is just a way of explaining how to do it. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and set my starting location to be this island right there. That is pretty cool. I like this island. Oh, another thing you might get are things that are actually built and not part of the landscape as the height map data. So these are docks. These are clearly not the way actual terrain was generated in the real world, so you might want to go ahead and push these down, tweak things you like, tweak things you don't like. You know, you have all the control you need. So just because you import it doesn't mean you need to stick with it. So, and I can go ahead and go back to the water level, reset water level, and that's a little bit better. I still see it right there, but once I click escape, it should be fine. There's still some water simulation with the waves, but this will balance out and flatten out, so it'll be fine. So awesome. Let's get some roads in there and start taking getting past that the checklist. So with the roads selected, you'll see I have 4 incoming roads and 4 outgoing roads maximum, which is fine. I'll go ahead and do an outgoing and an incoming. And now I should be good with both. If I go here, yep, at least one connection, incoming and outgoing. Now these have to go all the way to the edge of the map. If I had this stop right there, that doesn't count. It is out of the tiles, but it is technically not connected to the outside world. So make sure it's all the way to the end. Like that. So now we should be good for the requirements. And technically, this map is good to go. I can go ahead and set this to build, and it will be just fine. From a distance, I think the water was from the ones that splashed over. Yeah, it's disappearing. So awesome. So we have that. Let's go down the list. 1 train track. Yep, that seems reasonable. Let's get a train track connection. Like that. You don't have to make it go out of the city. You can if you want to, so I can make this, for example, connect like that and go all the way out. But, you see, I have 2 out of 4 connections used, because it's technically connecting to the outside world in 2 places. So, it's up to you if you want to go out of the area and in, or just connect it like here. But that should be a check mark. Let's get a 1 ship connection. Should be fine making a ship connection here. Yeah. Plus Seattle has a nice harbor, so I can go ahead and connect something like so. You could go, of course, select the nice curved lines, unlike me, but just go ahead and do that. And again, once it connects all the way outside, it's 2 connections. So I can do something like that, make it 3, and that connects to the rest of this. So any way you want to have it go, should be fine. And again, this is not required. And the last one is a plane connection. Now these take up a wider area. It's mostly because if there's multiple planes going, they don't want to hit each other. And there you go. Plane connection established. So what else do we have here? I have oil, forestry, fertile land, and ore. Sure, let's give you all the materials you need to be a great city. Let's go ahead and set a nice big brush. Just make this place oil. This place will be fertile land. You will get a bunch of coal. And forestry everywhere here. There you go. Please don't make the map like this. This is a terrible design. I'm just trying to get all the stuff shown on this check mark. So this little chirper guy will be nice and happy. But once you actually make a proper looking map, then you will be ready to go. So now, you go ahead and go to your map settings. Make sure you have your proper starting tile, of course. And you go to the snapshot tool, just like in the asset editor. And you can go ahead and take multiple snapshots of your city, however you want, whatever you want to show off. And when you're happy, you go ahead and click Escape and Save Map. So map name Seattle, Seattle Mess. And you want to make sure Publish Map in New Game Panel. If you don't have this checked on, then it will not appear there. You will not be able to click New Game and select this map. So if you're just like in process of building something, you just want to do it purely for editing, then have this unchecked. If you actually want to play it, make sure you publish map in the New Game Panel. And click Save. Yeah, I like this image. So once it's saved, should be good to go, and go ahead and quit to the main menu. Now it should also be available in the Content Manager under Maps. There it is, my Seattle mess. And I can turn it on and off, I can share it with people, or I can delete it. So let's check it out. If I go ahead into a new game, there's Seattle. There's our natural resources and how much is available on the map. And go ahead and click, and it tells me all the connections. Suitable area for building, 58%. Before I do, though, I'm going to go ahead and check on unlimited money and unlock everything just so we can demonstrate everything this lovely city has to offer. And there we go. We are now in Seattle. Look at our beautiful city. We can go ahead and expand out any way we want, because we have our full area of the 5x5 we can build on. Now, as you saw, I can only build one out. That's because I made a selection of a tile that wasn't in the center of the 5x5. So, Yeah, so but now I can go ahead and just start building and getting people into an actual representation of Seattle. You can go ahead and pick any place in the world you want. Keep in mind that sometimes you might have a elevation that is higher up, like here, and the actual ocean level will be down here, but there's a lake. For that, make sure to use the generate water source. Another thing I actually forgot to mention is water flows. So, let's see, can I see? Yeah. So here, you see there's no current. That's because I actually didn't place any water sources. This is purely through the ocean. So if you want to have proper water flow, so you get proper sewage and everything, make sure to put water sources, and they will push water out into the ocean or into wherever you want. I forgot to mention that in the beginning. I apologize. But yeah, this is now a perfectly workable city. I can do whatever I want. Some pollution from the train tracks. Yeah. But yeah, that's it for now. Hope you guys enjoyed it. This is pretty much it's a very simple way of getting a real world map, like from any city you want, really, and putting it into City Skylines, and to scale or not to scale, up to you guys. And if you're really keen on recreating the actual city from the real world, you can go ahead and use this tool, combines with maybe use MapQuest or Google Maps or whatever you want, and look at where the highways are, and recreate the highways in the exact same place. Save it out as the map, and just go nuts. See where everything is, how traffic actually works in the real world there versus in the game, and you can have a ton of fun with that. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it and learned something, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye. This lane, and use both the right lanes, as you saw. Yeah, there you go. A couple of them went into this lane. There's one. He's turning left, and he gets into that lane. But like, I eat again.
And now the true test. Hold fast, or
Eat. Just get out of the store. Okay.